your rankings rundown where we'll go through all my tiers, position by position, so you can see who I'm higher on, lower on, the Hail Marys I'm looking to toss out there. We only have, crazy to believe, 4 more weeks left in the regular season, folks. So it is time to make sure we're getting those wins, whether you're hunting for a bye there at the top of your leagues, whether you're fighting for that playoff push just to make it in there, wherever you're at in your fantasy football season. Maybe you just want to avoid a last place punishment. Who knows? But either way, a win always matters, none more so than right now. So thank you guys so much for coming on in, joining me here. I see a bunch of you already have hit that thumbs up button. So appreciated. Thank you for that. It does help us get out to more people. So if you haven't already, you're willing to give this a thumbs up, please consider doing so. Let's dive right on in. I'll bring in my rankings over here. As always, we like to start with the signal callers. We'll talk about points against. We'll talk about higher lowers, all the guys we love. And then, of course, I will hit all the questions you guys got for me. So get them on in there. Tell me you're here. Say hello. Whatever it is, get those comments up to interact with us here. And I would love to help you guys get this Week 11 win. Starting at the top, you got to have Josh Allen. The Indianapolis defense, 92% of the passing touchdowns they've given up have come through the air. The ultimate pass funnel defense in the NFL right now. They don't really get that much credit for it. You always think of Tampa Bay, the ferocious defense, maybe even the Saints, a great run deep pass on them. The Colts are even more so than them. And I think Josh Allen coming off, he had that one dud against Jacksonville, but you look at his last few games, 37, 30, 29, 12, 22. He's been a top 5 quarterback in 4 of the last 5 weeks. He's right back to the fantasy MVP levels we were seeing last season. Nobody else should be at the top of your list, and a great DraftKings streamer, great guy to just pay on up for, worth the price of admission this week, as is Lamar Jackson, facing a bad Chicago secondary that gives up the 5th most points to wide receivers. He should be able to run all over this team, pass all over this team. I know he's coming off Lamar Jackson, a pretty down week himself, but the Bears giving up the 13th most points to QBs. He should have no problem racking up points. Neither should Dak Prescott, facing a Chiefs team. I'm +1 ECR on this guy that has given up the 2nd most points to QBs. Right on the other side of that is Pat Mahomes, coming off a fresh 5-touchdown day, seeming like he is indeed Pat Mahomes, now getting a Dallas team that's given up. They dropped down a little bit. They were top 10 in points allowed for pretty much half the season so far. They've stiffened up a bit these last few weeks, but certainly not a defense to be afraid of, especially at home there at Arrowhead. I think we got the shootout of the week. I think most people understand that, recognize that, and we'll be attacking this one in game stacks and all that good stuff. But back and forth battle between Dak, between Pat, it should be lights out. Give me Dak Prescott, though, just ahead of him. He's been so consistent. I believe it's over 20 in 6 straight. Let me just double check that. 20, 27, 22, 28, 20, 26. Yep, 6 straight. 7 of 8 games this season. He's been over 20 fantasy points. He's been top 12 in all of those but one. It's beautiful. Dak Prescott, absolutely smash play, as is Pat Mahomes, given that he looks fully back. He's one of the type of guys, I don't need to wait and see that he's all the way back. I've seen enough. He's back. Tom Brady there, right at number 5. Not because I don't like him that much, but because I like these other 4 just a bit more. Against the Giants team, though, he should have no problem rebounding. Did look a little sketchy last week. Giants, middle of the road, 17th most points to QBs. Brady should still smash. Monday Night Football prime time. I know the Giants have typically had his number, but Joe Judge, he's going to give it to him, his old coach. Love Aaron Rodgers against Minnesota. 19th most points to QBs. Not a great matchup, but then you consider they give up the 6th most points to wide receivers. Adams should roast this team. Rodgers should feast with it. No Aaron Jones. Yeah, they'll lean on Dylan, but still, Aaron Rodgers, let's get a nice rebound here. 2-3 touchdowns, 300-plus yards, especially if Minnesota can keep it competitive. If Kyler's in, you got to like him against the Seattle Seahawks team. They did just limit Aaron Rodgers quite a bit. They are giving up the 23rd most points, so pretty limiting to QB so far this year. Still, Kyler, when he's ready to go, he'll be running all over the place. They're giving up the 2nd most points to running backs. I think Kyler will have no problem gashing this team for 80 to 100 yards on the ground, should he be in there. We will see. Jalen Hurts, speaking of running quarterbacks, well, that's where New Orleans is at. Their strength is limiting rushing QBs. This guy has been a top 10 signal caller, I believe, all but 1 week this season. Oh, top 12. Okay, fine. Top 12 all but 1 week. Top 10 for almost the entire season. Plenty of top 5 games mixed in there. Only 2 games below 20 points so far on the year. The floor is astronomically high until he gets benched. I don't know that they're going to bench him at this point, though. He's shown, especially these last few weeks, some real gusto. Maybe he is the future of this franchise. I think they ride the season out there. There's no need to see what Gardner Minshew is going to do, given how they've been winning, pounding the run. He's got 50 rushing yards or more in 4 straight. Love him. Joe Burrow coming off that bye, getting a Raiders team that is mediocre against everything, including the pass. 12th most points, 2 QBs. Burrow's been having quite the season. I know he makes some costly turnovers, some stupid decisions, but as you can see, prior to last week's dud against Cleveland, where he had one of the worst performances you'll see from him, and maybe his career, hopefully. 2 bad interceptions, including a horrible pick 6. Right before that, though, he had 5 straight of 20 or more. That's what you love to see. Joe Burrow certainly should return back to top 20 numbers, especially given Derek Carr on the other side, solid in terms of what he can do to keep the air under the ball for them. Justin Herbert versus Pitt. Tough defense, a guy that's been quite inconsistent, as you can see on -2 ECR on him. In fact, he has fewer games of above 15 points than he does below 15 points, depending on your scoring, as you can see. Some pretty sketchy, just 3 games really this year have been monstrous. 121 point day. The rest have been pretty backbreaking. So against the Pittsburgh defense, they're certainly better against the run than they are the pass, but they're 26 in points allowed to QBs. I'd be a little bit skeptical. Maybe even consider streaming one of my favorite pickups of the week, Cam Newton, who has only finished outside the top 12 in points per game twice in his 10-year career. He is a Konami god. 2 touchdowns on 2 plays last week just shows you what the upside is in this offense. I've said it multiple broadcasts, but just to reiterate, Sam Darnold led the NFL in rushing touchdowns through 5 weeks. What do you think Cam Newton, the ultimate Konami code throughout his entire career, is going to do? Oh, wait, he's also facing Washington, who gives up the most points to signal callers. A beautiful matchup. What a day Cam Newton's going to have here against Washington. Great DFS play, too. Ryan Tannehill against Houston. I don't love Tannehill, and nor should I. I believe he's been top 12 only 3 times this entire year. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 4. Less than half of the time he's been top 12. He's only had 20 or more 3 different times. Really only 19 was QB8 because last week was so pathetic on scoring. But he does get Houston, who is abysmal. 9th most points allowed to QBs. Tannehill historically has demolished this team, and I don't see any reason why he won't do that this week. Without Derrick Henry, this offense has looked pretty anemic, but that defense is a gold mine. Especially lately, they've really turned it around. So I think Ryan Tannehill, right in play as a top 12 option at QB1, even ahead of Russell Wilson, who I am a bit lower on. I was higher on last week. He did not look right. This was not the Russell we have come to know, come to expect weekly top 7 numbers from. Nah. And now he gets a Cardinals defense that's given up the 4th fewest points to quarterbacks. I will believe this when I see it. It was awful. The worst I think I've ever seen Russell Wilson look. I don't know if he came back too early. I don't know if that was just a great game plan from the Green Bay Packers, who have limited 3 straight quarterbacks, Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson included there, 200 or fewer yards. So maybe, just maybe, it was the matchup. I'm skeptical. I'm going to hold off if I can. If I can get Cam Newton, I'd rather have him in my lineup. Kirk Cousins against Green Bay. We just talked about Green Bay limiting these defenses, these quarterbacks rather, to 200 or less in 3 straight games. That has been 3 good quarterbacks to do it. Pat Mahomes, I believe, was the other one. Yeah, it was. So 3 straight games of just limiting quarterbacks to the fullest. Is Kirk Cousins really going to break that trend? Like if the other 3 couldn't get it done? I don't know. Count me skeptical. I do love Justin Fields, 3 spots above the ECR, facing a Baltimore team giving up the 11th most points to QBs. As you can see here, his best games, 26 and 19 fantasy points, top 10 in both back-to-back weeks. The highest prorated PFF grade of week 9. He seems to truly be trending in that right direction. Seems like they have finally decided, let's use this guy to his fullest potential. 100 rushing yards just 2 weeks ago, 45 the week before, and rushing touchdown on the ground too. The Konami upside is finally coming to fruition. That's what you love to see. And Baltimore is his easiest matchup that he's had in recent weeks. So I think he's absolutely viable at only 25% roster too. A great plug and play. Derek Carr should have a solid day against Cincinnati. Nothing really threatening there. 18th most points to QBs. The guy's had 300 in almost all his games. Then 260 last week. Yeah, 260. In addition to 2 touchdowns. Just a nice 20, let's call it an 18 to 20 point floor, in my opinion, this week. So a solid bye week fill-in. Good floor. Ceiling's pretty capped, but still. the floor is what you're going for. Mac Jones against Atlanta, the matchup is golden. Third most points to QBs. I still think if they could run in 5 touchdowns, they'll run in 5 touchdowns. Maybe he'll throw in 5. Maybe the matchup is right. So if you want some Thursday night juice, I have no problem with you going to Mac. As a real-life talent, he's looking unbelievable. As a Patriots fan, I could not be more excited for what this guy's bringing to the table. Still, fantasy-wise, it's so inconsistent in this Patriots offense. Again, they will run it in. Ramondre is such a goal line piece, too. Anytime they give him the goal line touch, he's going to pound that thing in. So I don't know that I believe in Mac Jones as a fantasy product. Real-life product, might take this team to the Super Bowl. Love the guy. Fantasy-wise, a little bit tricky to trust. Don't hate Tua at all. This Jets team has been okay against signal callers. They were actually a bottom 3 matchup for half the year, though. In the last 4 weeks, they have been getting demolished by big play after big play. Most, I think, fantasy points allowed per attempt. So Tua definitely in a good spot here if he is healthy. Joe Flacco on the other side. That's the worry, is does he keep it entertaining enough because they keep the air out of the ball. Jimmy G, across the past 3 weeks, is the number 3 quarterback in fantasy scoring, was the number 1 entering last week. As you can see, 30 and 22 points, or 27, 20. Okay, depending on your scoring, he had 32 in the ones I was doing. QB3, QB8, and then QB13. Just a nice, safe floor. Gets Jacksonville. And then you look at the playoff schedule. At this point, it seems very unlikely Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be benched for Trey Lance. I wish it was the case. Probably not happening. I think very viable. In fact, I might bump him 16 or so in my next ranking run, given how well he's been playing lately. Carson Wentz, Buffalo. He's trending downwards, and now he gets the hardest matchup for signal callers. 12 points per game, Buffalo is limiting quarterbacks to. Not 12 real-life points, 12 fantasy points. That is terrifying. So no thank you to Carson Wentz as an option this week. I'd rather have Daniel Jones. I'm going to fix these rankings up a little bit. I'll bump Carson Wentz down below Danny Jones, maybe even below Heineke. I do need to take Mike White out because Joe Flacco is starting. Would have been a nice matchup for my man Mike White, but that era has ended. I don't know why. Give the guy a fucking shot. I guess not. We haven't ran out of Joe Flacco time in the NFL, apparently. Ugh. But you don't really need any of these signal callers. Baker Mayfield may be in a good matchup against Detroit, but he looks like crap. Matt Ryan, tough matchup against New England. No, thank you. Yeah, you're in bad, ugly range here. So I'll probably add another tier of like last range QB2s. These guys don't belong in the same tier as Tua, as Jimmy G. Guys that I would enjoy starting this week. Awesome. Let's continue to roll on, Wolfpack. Love to see that we're already up to 9 likes on Facebook. Please, on YouTube, wherever you're at, continue to consider giving us that thumbs up. It does help us get out to more people. I wouldn't keep asking if it didn't make a huge difference for us. We've got 20 questions already. Love to see that. Keep the questions coming in that mailbag. I know it's the trade deadline in a lot of leagues. Happy to answer any trades while we're live here. Whatever it is. I did a big strength of schedule breakdown in a spreadsheet, so I've got like all the easiest playoff matchups, win now matchups, all that good stuff. If that's something you're interested in, feel free to ask whatever questions it is that are on your mind. Let us now continue forward with the bell cows, my favorite position of all time. Favorite position for most people. You got to start at the top with Christian McCaffrey. Mediocre matchup. It doesn't matter. He'll get it done no matter who he's facing. He is so damn good. He had 25 fantasy points and didn't even score a touchdown last week. Only Najee Harris has been able to do that as well this year when he had 19 targets in week 2. Love Christian McCaffrey. Love the guy I just mentioned, Najee Harris. Given how many points the Chargers have given up to the position, I think they are now up to 5th, 4th, even better matchup. Great spot for a guy that's always going to get a ton of volume. What else is there to say? My easy number 2. Nick Chubb, my easy number 3, assuming he's out there. Last time he played, he had, 26 points, and now he gets a Detroit team. Give up the 3rd most points to running back. He had 28, running back 3 last time we saw him. He's been a top 6 running back in 2 of his last 3 weeks. In Detroit, he's going to be a top 3 running back again. Don't know what his draft. I haven't even looked at DraftKings yet. I look forward to seeing some of these prices after we go through these player names. I think he's going to be in my lineups. I imagine he's underpriced coming off that injury, or coming off COVID rather. As long as he's out there, we will see. Dalvin Cook, though, number 4. A lot of people have him at number 2. Understandable. Green Bay has been certainly better against the pass than they have the run. But it's not an amazing matchup. Last year, Green Bay was like you hammer any running back facing them. It hasn't been quite that. But Cook has had some of his biggest days against Green Bay. I see him having yet another solid day, coming off, I think, 23 last week. Only 18? Oh, that's standard. Let's get into the half. 19. He didn't catch that many balls. So, yeah, 19. I thought it was a better effort than that. He hasn't had any true blow-ups yet. If you look at this, like, solid top 12 numbers in over half his games. That's nice. But it's not the Dalvin Cook where you're getting like 3 touchdowns a week sometimes. Maybe he changes that this week. Still definitely a top 5 option in my opinion, as is Jonathan Taylor. I am a little bit lower, -2 ECR, given the matchup against the Bills. They've limited the running back position to 15 points as a team backfield. Meanwhile, Jonathan Taylor has been top 10 in 7 straight games. Look at these stats. 19, 30, 28, 17, 20, 33, 22. Whew, top 10 in all of those contests. I think he'll be in your top 10 again, but Buffalo has been that good against the running back position that I have to be a little bit skeptical no matter how good this guy has been. Oh, damn, he's been fucking good. Maybe I'm a little too low. But those are your godlike RB1s. Tier 2, your remaining RB1s, guys, I'm still excited about. Got to like point factory game. Zeke Elliott against Kansas City should catch plenty of balls, should run it down their throat. Love him. I love Joe Mixon against the Raiders, who are now giving up the 9th most points to the running back position. He's had 2 or more touchdowns, I think, in 2 of his last 3 games. Back-to-back games, 23, 26 points. He had 23 or more in 3 of his last 4, if you look there. Top 5 in all of those. Mixon's been one of the best second-round picks you could have made. I think he continues the top 5-ish train against the Raiders. No reason to expect anything but solid performance. Do love James Conner as well. A Seahawks team giving up the 2nd most points to backs. I think a lot of people might jump ship after he was meh last week on DFS-wise specifically. This matchup, though, is the ultimate get-right spot. They get destroyed over the air. The most receiving yards allowed to running backs was 76. It's the 3rd most rushing yards, or 4th most, rather, it looks like. Yeah, they get demolished. Only the Jets, the pathetic Jets, one of the most historically bad teams against running backs, have given up more points than the Seahawks. 27 points allowed to backfields. Just beautiful. Beautiful matchup here for James Conner. Eckler, I love the player, but man, 21, 10, 13, and 8. So 3 of his last 4 have been pretty underwhelming. Outside the top 15 running backs in 3 of his last 4. I'll rank him inside my top 10 because that's just how much upside he has. But at 6 where the ECR is, no thank you. A little bit lower on him. Certainly like DeAndre Swift coming off 33 carries in Dan Campbell's first time calling plays. Played 93% of the snaps. A lot of that was because Lamar Jefferson got hurt. Maybe Jamal Williams returns. Either way, Swift is a monster. We just saw Ramondre Stevenson completely gash Cleveland, expose them, even though they're giving up one of the better run Ds on the season, 2 points allowed to running backs. I'm not worried about that matchup at all. I think Kamara has to be right back in the lineups too. Did practice today, should be out there, gets a Philly team, got the 8th most points to backs. They've really stiffened up these last couple weeks when they put that emphasis on offense into the run and kind of bled the clock faster, but still. I think Kamara locked in RB1. Then you get your elite RB2s, low end RB1s, should you have a stacked receiving core. Love Fournette, running 86% of the routes last week. That's the key difference with him this year. He's doing it all. He's the every down back. He had 8 catches for, I believe, 46 yards. Yeah, 45. 13, just solid production all year. One of the best later round running backs you could have got. Jimmy Robinson, what's there to complain about here? San Fran, middle of the pack, 14 points allowed, 2 running backs. He came right back in to a featured back role. As you can see, 22, 20, 21, 18. He got hurt against Seattle. Otherwise, I'm sure he would have smashed yet again. 16, top 12 running back in all of those games that I rifled off other than the game he got hurt. So, 5 straight games, top 12. Why expect anything different from Mr. James Robinson this week? A.J. Dillon, second career start, rather. He had that one monstrous game last year, and that's the thing. When he gets to work, he eats. Minnesota, 11th most points to the position. I think that could be a great game for him. Barkley, returning against Tampa Bay. Certainly a run funnel defense, but they also give up 7.1 receptions to the running back position. That is tied with a few teams, but it's tied with 3 other teams for the 2nd most in the league. That's where Saquon's at his best. You've got to imagine they're going to be chasing points. You got to imagine Barkley is going to be a huge part of that passing game, even in his first game back. News-wise, he's practiced for the first time since the injury a month ago. Appears on track. It is Monday Night Football. Ideally, you have Booker, or he's banged up too. So that's the thing with Barkley. He might walk right back into an every down role, given that Booker could be out. Certainly something to monitor. We saw David Montgomery walk right back in to like a 80% rushing share, 13 carries, 63 yards. Also saw some receiving work, back to the every down role. Only 9 points. Wasn't anything sexy, but still, the workload was certainly sexy. And the fact that the Ravens are giving up the 12th most points to running backs only helps his case further. Big fan of him. Eli Mitchell did have surgery on his finger. They are hopeful he'll play. If he does, he gets Jacksonville. You don't need me to spell out why that's a beautiful matchup for a guy that is crushing it. He's seen over 80% of the carries until he hurt his finger last week as well. Should he be out there, he's going to be a smash. If not, you can almost just take Jeff Wilson and put him right there. Whatever the 49ers starting running back is, put him right there at 17, top 20 for sure. Jacobs, great spot against Cincy. They're going to have the 6th most points. 2 running backs. I think Jacobs pounds in at least 1 score, maybe even 2. Good guy to target this week. As is Carter. Dolphins have gotten bled in every aspect of the game. Michael Carter, though, the one risk is Flacco's now taken over at QB. He does love to target his running backs. You think about Ray Rice. I believe it was like a 30% target share. I studied that a few years ago. It's been a while since Joe Flacco was relevant, but if I'm not mistaken, he averaged 33% of his passes going to the running back position. I remember hyping up Phillip Lindsay because of it. Didn't really pan out. But Carter, it's not going to be Mike White, like 40% target share levels. Should still be more than okay, though. I am a little nervous. -2 ECR. I do like Antonio Gibson after a 2-touchdown day. I wonder if that was just a product of good game flow. I wonder if that game flow remains the case against Carolina. It could be. It should be. And he should be more involved as a receiver anyways. We'll see. The only reason Myles Gaskin's even sniffing the top 20 right now is when we get to these mediocre RB2s, the fact that he's facing the Jets, the most points allowed to the position, as we talked about, historically bad. If you're ever going to use him, it's certainly going to be this week against a abysmal Jets defense. Malcolm Brown's still not expected back. Future work against the Jets. Nothing else needs to be said. Daryl Williams. This ranking, of course, assumes CH doesn't play. Coming off a 100-yard receiving day. He is back at practice. He could be back already. That would certainly hurt Daryl Williams' stock. But if CH is out, this is where I would have him ranked. Carson could be returning. I believe he's at practice. I do want to check this nugget, see if anything new came in today. Still sidelined. Oh, not good. Not what you're looking to see. Might have to bump him down a bit. Harris did clear concussion protocol. Was he back at practice? Yep, we'll play in week 11. I mean, Ramondre had a monster day. Harris has been the first man up all season. I imagine he still is, but I wouldn't be shocked to see Ramondre eat into that rushing touchdown total. They both could have monster days against Atlanta, who has given up the 5th most points to the position. And then Freeman, no more Le'Veon Bell. Latavius should be back. So I might bump up Latavius a little bit here, but I think Freeman is definitely in play. Chicago, 17th most points, middle of the pack against the position. And then it becomes like Ingram, I guess I'm a little lower on, but I think Kamara's going to be back. Moss against Indy. Indy, as I talked about, one of the ultimate pass funnels, the second fewest points allowed to running backs and some of the most points allowed to receivers and quarterbacks. Again, 93% of their touchdowns come through the air. Insane. Don't like Zach Moss. 3-headed nightmare last weekend with Breida. Ugh. I'd rather have probably McKissick. Solid receiving role there at least. Maybe bump up even Foreman. I think I might have above all these guys. Led the team with nearly 50% rushing share this last week. Now he gets Houston. Oh, boy. Always a golden matchup when you see the Texans on the other side. He had 10th most points to the back running backs, but even more across these last few games. Dearness Johnson, should he have any type of meaningful load? Should he have like a Kareem Hunt role? Probably a little bit too low here. Someone I'll consider bumping up. Boston Scott might be a bit too high, especially if Miles Sanders is back this week. New Orleans is brutal against running backs, so I don't really like any of these backs against them. Certainly don't like. As you can see here, we have reached some pretty ugly territory. The one name I want to shout out in these, a few of them here, could be Jeff Wilson. Should Eli Mitchell miss some time, CEH could walk right back in and screw up Darrell Henderson. We'll see what that's looking like. And then Alex Collins could be a viable play if what's his fucking name? If Chris Carson is out. As a complete and utter Hail Mary, Salvin Ahmed is a stream that's out there in all your leagues. Wouldn't be shocked at all to see Salvin Ahmed find the end zone for sure. Up to nearly 40 questions. Wolfpack, I love to see that. Thank you so much. We will definitely get them all. We're about halfway through the show, even a little bit more. We go through tight ends and D kicker really fast. So we'll get through these wide receivers. If you haven't hit that thumbs up, though, and you like what you're hearing, it will help us to continue to grow so much. Hell, if you want to support the site, consider throwing in a super chat. It would be so appreciated. But let me know how I can help you guys out. Continue to get that mailbag filled up, and let's roll, Wolfpack. Talking about wide receivers, it was so tough to pick my top three here. There's nothing really separating any of these three. Tyreek has the hardest matchup, certainly if Trayvon Diggs is shadowing him. Adams gets a Minnesota team giving up the 7th most points. Diggs gets an Indy team that's giving up the 5th most points. And as we keep talking about the ultimate pass funnel, I love them all. And Diggs coming off like a 40-point day. What's not to love about him? Him and Allen stacks aren't cheap, but could be the key to winning in DFS this week. So those are the demigod, like tier ones. Then your wide receiver ones remaining. I guess I'm a spot higher on Deebo Samuel. What else is there to see? Look at this guy's production. I don't think he's been below 15 in like maybe once this entire year. 32, 15, 18, 29, 28. I mean, look at that. That is just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful production. One of the elite mid-round picks you could have made. His role isn't changing. He's the guy. He's the alpha. Ayuk remains a clear distant, like third fiddle. Even George Kittle is clearly behind Deebo Samuel. CeeDee Lamb, what a blow-up game last week. 2 TDs. Now gets Kansas City. Nothing scary about a team giving up the 2nd most points to QBs. Certainly vulnerable through the air. A.J. Brown should smash Houston. Why wouldn't he? 11th most points to wide receivers, and just even worse as of late. They were one of the bottom 3 matchups just a few weeks ago. That's how bad they've been these past few. A.J. Brown has been pretty matchup dependent. Teams that like have the secondary to take him out have. Houston does not have the secondary to take him out. Smash. It is a little concerning, though. I do want to, like, as much as it should be a lock, as you can see here, like 23, 27 blow-ups, and then 7 and 3 points. Certainly, among these, like this top group, maybe the lowest floor. Even though Houston, like, we all know what's going to happen. He's going to go for one of those 20-point days. No doubt in my mind about that. Justin Jefferson up to another smash play last week. 11 targets, 143. Top 7 receiver last week. Should be yet again. He's been a beast. He's just always been a beast. Ever since he stepped in the league. If he had the right type of play caller, whew, good Lord. But Green Bay has been quite limiting, so keep that in mind. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, love them both. No real, like, clear preference, one or the other. I think Godwin does have a little bit of a safer floor. I just have the feeling in my gut this is like an Evans 2 to 3 touchdown day. I think it's going to happen. Also think Jamar Chase against a Raiders team that Casey Hayward's been solid, definitely, but other than that, not much. Chase should have no problem getting deep for at least one of those patented bombs. Keenan Allen, 11 targets last week, 13 the week before, 11 the week before that. Ever since the bye week, they have made him an absolute focal point. Make sure you're recognizing that 17, 16, and 14. Just a nice high floor. Touchdowns haven't been really there. That could change this week. Metcalf, huge bust last week. Huge bust in general. That offense, I don't know that they get it back, but he's certainly one that's always worth buying. A little bit lower than the ECR, -2 compared to the rest. Certainly have Chase and Keenan Allen above him where the experts would not. Like Marquise Brown, as always, a great bet. He's coming off a dud, but Chicago, 4th most points to wide receivers, in particular, getting gashed deep, allowing, oh my God, nearly 17. Oh, yeah, he's going to get deep. He's going to smash them. I think Bateman is the only reason that Marquise Brown might take a downturn, given how good he is. Hopkins, if he plays, this is kind of where I'd have him. Seattle's been sneaky okay against receivers, though. 24th in points allowed. Maybe a little too high on him. Do like Michael Pittman, but don't love that Buffalo has given up the fewest points to the wide receiver position. 20 to team wide receivers. Compare that to 38 to team wide receivers from the Tennessee Titans. And you can see why this matchup is a little bit of a shy away. Terry McLaurin, Carolina. Maybe he gets Gilmored, but he hasn't been quite a lockdown corner this year. I do think Deontay Johnson against the Chargers. A fantastic play. Now he's got his boy Big Ben back. Was it another 13 targets? Yeah, 13 targets in 3 of his last 4. 4 of his last 6. I mean, just steady volume each and every week for him. Cooper's been kind of a prick all year, hasn't he? He's had like 2 or 3 really good games, 32, 22, and then just a whole lot of mediocrity. Like all the leagues I have him, He's that guy that you can't. He's kind of like a better Mike Williams, like a little bit higher of a floor, similar ceiling, but seems to hurt you more than he really actually helps. And just when you put him on the bench is when he's going to blow up. You got to hate players like that. Just fuck off, Amari Cooper, with that shit. Adam Thielen, great analysis there. 19, just probably going to find the end zone. That's what he does. Tyler Lockett. Last time, I just always think of Tyler Lockett, Arizona, that Sunday night football game where he had like 50 points. Probably has to be locked in your lineups just because he has so much damn upside. Didn't see it really last week at all, but could easily come out this week. Higgins, I think, is one of the best second half buy candidates. Actually leads this team in targets and expected fantasy points. 10, 12, 11, nothing all that sexy, but he's just barely missing touchdowns in pretty much all of those contests. Great play there. I love Jalen Waddle. Nothing about New York Jets should ever scare anybody. Certainly not their 14th points allowed, 2 wide receivers. Waddle has been cooking as well. The targets have just been bountiful. 13, 8, 11, 10, 6 last week against Baltimore. That was kind of meh. But other than that, I mean, look at this. Great production. Look at that stretch run schedule, too. The Jets, the Titans, and the Saints. Whew, the best possible playoffs you could ask for. Brandon Cooks, the most points allowed are the Titans. These last few weeks, they really have kind of stiffened up, but you got to imagine some Brandon Cooks garbage time is in order. Renfro, is it 3 straight weeks now with a touchdown? 2 straight, 14 and 14. Top 15 receiver in both those, though, 9 targets. Yeah, I mean, doesn't get much steadier than Hunter Renfro. The ceiling, definitely capped, but the floor, so sturdy, so high. You're going to get another 10 to 15 no matter what this week. A little bit of higher ceiling, lower floor. Devonta Smith, New Orleans, is giving up pretty generous to wide receivers. What is it? The 6th most points. Maybe a little too low on Devonta Smith. I think I might need to bump him ahead of like Waddle, Cooks. The talent himself, he's just insane. You know New Orleans is the ultimate pass funnel, other than the Colts, of course, who we've talked about at length here. Yeah, I think Devonta continues it. He's got 20 or more, I think, in 2 straight now. 2021, top 6 receiver in that span. Just when this year, it's like right when you start to trust him, he sucks. But I think we can continue to trust him. Corey Davis, one of the more underrated receivers, in my opinion. Miami gave him the 3rd most points to the position. As you can see, 10, 13, 19, 24. He had those duds in weeks 2 and 3 and some really tough matchups. Other than that, he's been pretty steady. I think he is a nice, safe, solid wide receiver 3. As is Sterling Shepard, if he plays, as you can see, he's very low in ECR right now. But across his last 5 games, he's averaged nearly 11 targets a game. He's been a top 20 receiver in all of those games that he's made it through the whole thing. So we get a full game of him against the Tampa Bay team, give up the 12th most points to wide receivers. I'd expect top 15 numbers. So, yeah, one of my favorite plays out there in so many leagues, too, only 34% roster right now. Go scoop him in case he plays. Do love Christian Kirk. Just steady, solid. Seattle, as we talked about with Hopkins, pretty good against wide receivers, but Kirk, he's been the man this year. Mike Williams, man, how a fall from grace. I don't think he's seen more than 6 targets in 4 straight games. 6.555. Awful. 16 the week before that. I mean, that's what we keep clinging to. That's what keeps breaking our backs. 4, 3, and 7, and 5 fantasy points. Ugh. I'm going to bench him where I have him, and he's probably going to go for 30. And then I'll put him back in, and I'll have 4 straight games of dog shit. I'd probably rather have Rashad Bateman coming off career highs and catches and yards. Just doesn't play every snap. I don't get it. Him and Elijah Moore, like back-to-back here, the same conundrum. Moore is 5th in fantasy points per game in the last 3 weeks. Caught a touchdown in all 3 games. All from other quarterbacks other than Zach Wilson. Insane. Now gets a Miami team giving up the 3rd most points. Maybe I need to flip Moore and Corey Davis here, but I'm plus 10 on Moore. I think Flacco could rope quite the ball to him this week. Love him. Landry, just so discouraging. One of the most misleading stats is target share. Like, I love target share, right? It tells you how involved the person is. And yet, we can throw out like, oh, but Landry has a 20% target share in 4 straight games. On teams that throw it only 15 times a game, yeah, it seems cool, but 5 targets is 5 fucking targets. We have to like look at both sides of the equation here. And he has had 6, 8, 3, 5. One good game. It came in week 1. If he doesn't get done against Detroit, I might send this guy packing to the waiver wire. I paid a lot of money to go pick him up too. Looking like a mistake DJ Moore, I don't trust the guy. Minus 12 ECR, as you can see. Washington, the second most points receivers. He should light them up. Maybe I'm a little too low here. I'm going to be bumping up a handful of guys that we've talked about here tonight. Elijah Moore being one of them. I don't know that DJ Moore will be one of them. 6, 8, 10, 8, 6, 4. So one game above double digits, and it was 10 points. 58, 38, 26, 44, 46, 53. Wide receiver 33 seems generous when you look at that output. Is Cam returning really that good for a passing outlook? I don't know. Myers finally finding the end zone. Gets Atlanta. We all know how bad Atlanta is against everything. They're also top 10 in points allowed to receiver. Could keep those scoring times rolling, baby. And you get into your last acceptable flex wide receiver threes. Don't really love any of them. I think, highlight Donovan Peoples-Jones, a team very susceptible to big plays, with Detroit most points per play right now allowed. Could be a good play. Don't like Jones. In fact, I like Agnew a whole hell of a lot more. That will be changed in my rankings. Jones has just really disappeared. Ayuk, so overrated. I like Sanders against that pass funnel. I think I'm a little too low on him. I think he belongs in this tier above, actually. So that'll get fixed. I do want to highlight plus 12 on Deontay Harris. As you can see, solid, just 7, 8, 4 targets last week. Kind of underwhelming. I guess it's not insane, but it's a decent floor. Similar to Jamal Agnew, like a plus 11 here. 10, 13, 5, 14. So double digits in 3 of his last 4, top 30 across those. I believe he's the wide receiver 31 since TJ Chark went down. So intriguing guy. As you can see, still very low on Robinson. Kendrick Bourne is a potential Hail Mary target. He's had sneaky better year than I think most are recognizing. 14, then a few duds, 22 though. So 3 of his last 5, he's been top 20 wide receiver. It's just the target share is sketchy. 2, 4, 7, 4, 4. I don't know that we can count on dependable numbers there, but you're looking for a Hail Mary. Just some guys to toss out there. Up to nearly 50 questions. Wolfpack. I love to see it. Over 30 live viewers here with us. Awesome. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up to continue to help us grow, get out to more people. It would be so greatly appreciated. We're going to now wrap up with tight ends, defense, and kickers. I can probably get through all of these in 7 minutes or less, maybe even fewer. Let's get on to it. You don't need me to hype up Travis Kelce. Dallas, not a good team against. They're okay. The defense is really, under Dan Quinn, been better than years past, but 13th most points to tight ends. Tight end points against don't really matter to me, to be honest. Jacksonville, bad against everything. 11th most points to tight ends. George Kittle has been killing it. What did he have, 100 last week? Only 50 yards, but he did find the end zone. Okay. And this is kind of rare for Kittle. Back-to-back game scoring. I don't know if he's ever done that in his career. Sneaky as never had more than 5 touchdowns in a year. Let's keep that trend rolling. 3 games straight. Love it. Mark Andrews against Chicago. Love that play. How can you not like Mark Andrews any given week in a matchup that's – where are the Bears actually? Maybe they are actually 4th fewest points. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Darren Waller, he's in our buy low list. I have him in a bunch of leagues, and honestly, you want to buy him, I'll fucking sell him. Maybe it makes me a squid because as soon as I sell him, I'm sure he's going to go crazy. But he's had only 2 games above 12. Look at this. Week 1? Okay, 3 games. That's bad. That's really bad for Darren Waller. Not my clear-cut top 2 like he used to be every single time. Love Hunter Henry. What is it? 7 of his last 8 games, he's got a touchdown. Beautiful. Number 1 tight end last week with 2 scores. Beautiful. Love to see it. I think Dawson Knox, plus 5 ECR. Love him against an indie team, giving up the 6th most points to tight ends. He'll rebound, find the end zone here. Love Patty Fry. Awesome play to find the end zone. That's what we're looking at tight ends. We're looking at, end zone or bust. Dallas Goedert, I can't believe I'm plus 5 ECR. Is he hurt or something? Silent at practice Wednesday. Okay, so maybe that is why. Had a concussion. So at first I was like, what is going on here? The guy's seen a 40% target share these last 3 weeks, but that kind of explains it. Gesicki does get a Jets team, giving up the 12 points, most points to tight ends. I also have that goose egg just blazed into my mind. As you can see, minus 4 ECR on Kyle Pitts. I am terrified Bill Belichick is going to triple team this guy into oblivion. If Cordarrelle Patterson plays, that's actually going to be a boost to Kyle Pitts because then Belichick will have to roll some attention to someone else. I will say this. whenever I've been low on Pitts, whenever he's going to be my lower tomorrow, spoiler alert, he typically kicks me in the balls and goes absolutely bananas. So we will see. But I think New England giving up the third fewest points to tight ends, just specializing in taking out your number one guy, they're going to take out Kyle Pitts. Dan Arnold, as safe and steady as they come. Now, it doesn't mean there's a good ceiling, but as you can see, he's led the team in receiving in 3 straight games, 11, 8, and 12. He's had over 20% target share in all 3 of those weeks, 10, 7, 7 targets. Just like, bam, safe. You're going to get 10. You're going to get 10. You're going to like it. You're going to be okay with it. You're going to accept it. You're not going to love it. It'll be okay for you. TJ Hawkinson, man, goose egg, Ludwig, Beethoven, -7 ECR. Not a fan. Not a fan at all. Cleveland actually is pretty generous at tight ends. We just saw Hunter Henry go for 2. Maybe this is a big rebound spot. Fuck him. I'm so pissed about him. And you're getting into like your flyers. You got like, Uzomah. Raiders give up the second most points in the position. I like him. Then you got Kmet facing Baltimore, give up the third most. He was coming off too. I think a lot of people forget because they had the bye. This guy's coming off a career high. Hit 87 yards, 8 targets, 6 catches, all career highs there. 12 points and not even finding the end zone. Guy could easily do what he just did and then find the end zone and be the number 1 tight end of the week. I think he's a great play. Awesome streamer out there in a ton of leagues. Much lower on Dalton Schultz, -6 ECR here. Kansas City, it's not the matchup. It's the fact that he dropped from a 20% target share to a 6% target share. Two fucking targets last week with Michael Gallup back. And he just hasn't been that good. 2-7-2 over his last 3 since the bye. It was fun while it lasted, Dalton, but see ya. Troutman, most points allowed to tight ends, the Philadelphia Eagles. Troutman saw 6 targets last week. I think it's now, 3 straight games with 6, 7, 6. Has he done a whole lot? No. 6 targets turns into 1 fantasy point. So at a certain point, efficiency has to matter. But that's good volume against the number 1 tight end matchup. I think you go to Cole Kmet, you can go to Uzomah ahead of Troutman. But hey, if you're desperate and those other guys are gone, maybe look to him. Clearly, I'm lower on Zach Ertz. What has he done? He had that 1 touchdown, 6-4-7. Not into Jared Cook in a 3-headed nightmare. Maybe a little higher on Ricky Seals-Jones. Day-to-day should be playing. I don't know what Logan Thomas says. We'll find out. We'll see. We'll keep tracking that one. Really, if you're down this low, just stream Cole Kmet. That's what it comes down to. Otherwise, these are your guys that you're looking at, your top 12, your tight end ones. D/special teams. Love the Pats against Atlanta. We just saw what's their name? Dallas had 20 points against them. Beautiful spot for them. Bills against Indy. Indy certainly got a good offense, but it's not like they can't be erased. The Jacksonville game, a tough game. I could see the Bills swallowing this offense, given that they're just that good. The Bills are. Browns against Detroit, though, you got to love that matchup. Detroit, 7th most points allowed to defenses. Embarrassing effort from this Browns defense on the road. Now that they're back home, I could see them really rising. Titans is everybody's ECR number 1. I just don't know that their defense is all that good, and I don't think Houston's is bad. They are. I have to stop myself. Houston is horrendous. Those top 4, however you want to order them, I'm okay with. I like them all. I think Tampa Bay might make an argument to get in that conversation. The Giants, not a good team, could certainly turn it over. You got to enjoy the 49ers facing a Jacksonville team giving up the 2nd most points. They're also a good play. You got like 11 solid plays. I don't even hate Dallas facing Kansas City, given how turnover prone that offense is. But, they did also seem like the Chiefs yet again. The Dolphins, are they fool's gold or are they a great play? 4th in ECR, they should be. They're coming off a big game against 17 and 18 back-to-back games. Doesn't it just feel like fool's gold, though? I don't know. The Baltimore one was shocking. I did not see that happening. Maybe I need to reconsider. I didn't realize they'd been that good. I actually really like, though, out there in a ton of leagues, the Panthers. They've been sneaky consistent all year. The Dolphins have been one of the worst defense most of the year. We've seen, 8, 9, very serviceable numbers almost all year. That one game against Dallas, they got absolutely demolished. But other than that, Carolina's been pretty serviceable. They're out there in a lot of leagues. I think I turned to them before the Dolphins. Tough call. Don't hate the Cardinals, though. +2 ECR on them. So I'll reconsider the Dolphins. Maybe I have to go higher. You got your streams up here. If not, the Packers are sneaky. They're just a very good secondary. I could see them picking off Kirk a couple times. Another defense out there in a lot of leagues. And just for shits and gigs. I should have probably changed the banner. My fault, folks. 63 questions. Fuck yeah. That's a Wednesday for you, folks. Bass, always number one. Tucker, right behind him. Folk, awesome play against Atlanta tomorrow night. The one thing is that offense is now getting to like why we don't like suck up. It's just pure touchdowns now for New England. Great stuff these last few weeks. Gregory Joseph, booting 50-yarders week in and week out. You got to like the Crimson Chin, Harrison Bucker. Nothing wrong with that. And just go down the list. Carlson, fine. We're at it's kickers. It's fucking kickers. I don't hate Greg Zerlin at all, booting 50-yarders against the Kansas City defense that won't give him any resistance. I think Zane Gonzalez routinely one of the more underrated kickers in Cam. I could see that offense moving it quite easily against Washington and Zane just booting field goal after field goal. So he's kind of like my widely available stream. Similar to Evan McPherson was dropped a lot heading into last week. So those are some guys to keep you, as you can see, lower on suck up. Just they score touchdowns. That's all they do. So there you go, folks. That is it. That's my ranking rundown. Thank you again so much for listening to all of that. And now it is time for us to hit 68 questions. Love to see it. Thank you guys so much. Maybe it's you guys interacting with each other. Who knows? But awesome to have so many of you guys here. What up? Mitch Chavez, Grind Don't Stop, Thursday Night Live show. Can't wait. It's my favorite, one of my favorite nights of the week. Grind Don't Stop. Me and the Truth linking up for a great show. Can't wait. Just add Jeff Wilson. If he gets the start, he's going to be a smash. Kind of like Ingram last week. Just a lineup lock, as we were saying about Ingram last week. Jeff Wilson right in there. What up, Troy? Good to see you, Troy Cohen. So at 6-4, need a must win. I'm with you, Grind Don't Stop. I'm 6-4, third place right now. Get me that win, and I'll be feeling nice and pretty. I actually kind of need it too. My points aren't great. I've had blow-up games. I've had 60. I've been a very boomer bust team. I need to get those wins. I would love to sneak a bye week out of this team because if I can just get 2 explosion weeks, then we win it all. But I'm with you. Let's get that dub, baby. It's been a struggle to find a consistent. Yeah, sure. It always is. Injuries, whatever happens, always tough. But we'll find those streamers. Jeff Wilson could really be it. You're right. No toe. What up, Matthew? Good to see you. Who you starting full PPR? Pick 2, Bateman, Davis, and Gallup. I'd be benching Gallup. I mean, he's like the 4th, maybe 5th option in this offense. Love the talent, just don't love it. So I'm playing Bateman, I'm playing Corey Davis, and I'm benching him. No Cup. Ooh, brutal. Pondering this trade. Let me hear it, Troy. Mixon in exchange for Jamar Chase and Miles Sanders. Sanders is going to be back. J. Robin Carter. Well, it's not an unfair deal, given how good Chase is. I'm not as high on Michael Carter as most people are, and it's kind of burned me the last couple of weeks, but I think it's a product of Mike White just peppering running backs. I don't know that this Mike White pumpkin doesn't just come to fruition and he busts. So if Sanders doesn't pan out, like what if this is a 4-headed nightmare now that Jordan Howard's playing? Do like Jamar Chase, but I'd really have a tough time. Like, do you need the wide receiver, Troy? It's not unfair, but it's not a clear win either. And I'm always hesitant to trades that don't feel like a clear win to me. He did practice today. Grind Don't Stop was the last I read. So he was back at practice and likely to play. What do you think about Carson news? Is he droppable? Could use the IR spot after. Is the latest just that he didn't practice Mike Clay, or is there more to it that he could ultimately, that he like, is there more? Is it going to linger for multiple weeks? It's a tough call, but yeah, I mean, the IR spot, I know you have pretty shallow benches, Mike. Like, it's not unreasonable to drop Carson. You usually hate to drop him and have him out there this week and have his like usual 15, 20. That's why it's so tough to drop him, right? So if there's people out there that you really want, then okay. But otherwise, it depends on your waiver situation. If you really need it, then okay. And as always, folks, I should have asked for this, begged for this as we got here. But please, as we get through all these questions, consider giving us the thumb up. Help us get out to more people. Share it, retweet it, drop it, heart button it. Everything you can do to help us grow is so appreciated. And feel free, as always, to toss that super chat and support the site. Would mean the world. Mike Dayifik. Should I start Ingram, Stevenson, Dearness J, or Gallman? This one comes down to a lot of like who's playing, who's in, who's out. Kamara seems in. Harris seems in. Chubb seems in. But we're not going to go to Gallman over any of these guys. I would say the best touchdown option here is Stevenson. So I would go for Stevenson here, assuming all the other starters are playing. I know he plays on Thursday, so that makes it tricky, but it does seem like both Chubb and Kamara will be back, and that will really limit Dearness and Ingram. Knox, Goddard, or Hunter Henry. I'm going Hunter Henry, baby. Love Hunter Henry tomorrow night. Just scores touchdown after touchdown. Thoughts on Latavius Murray rest of season? Unappealing. I mean, like volume, sure. So running back, you can't always discount volume. He'll be what he was. It's not like Le'Veon Bell was ruining him. I know Le'Veon Bell's been released. So what was he before? Like a low-end RB2? Probably what you get. Maybe he falls in the end zone with like 40-ish yards. That has a place. Not one that I'm looking to sprint after, though, grind. Giggles Gaming. Giggles Gaming. Giggle. He gave me a giggle with that name. Just traded Chris Carson and Pittman for Robinson. Oh, yeah. Big dub, in my opinion. Pittman has the second or third hardest playoff schedule, I believe, among wide receivers. Carson, we might not see the rest of the year. We talked about James Robinson's been top 12, other than the one game he got hurt for 5 straight weeks. Yeah, I like that trade for you, Giggles. Chicago defense against pass catchers, bad. 4th most points allowed to wide receivers, grind on stop. Beautiful start for our boy, Rashad Bateman. Turns to be a smart play, even if Chubb plays. Not smart, but not unreasonable either. Wouldn't say he's like a lock. He's so good, but I think he's so good when he gets volume for whatever reason. What up, Denny? Great to see you, brother. Lewis, Komet or Frymouth to start week 11. I'd go Fry, but Komet is, as we talked about towards the end there, one of my favorite streams of the week, Lewis. But I go Fry. Great touchdown bet. Drop Jordan Howard for Van Jefferson? I probably would, yeah. I'm very intrigued what Van's going to do rest of the season. OBJ did not look like the answer at number 2, so that could be Van rest of the way. Miles Sanders came back, means less touches. Yeah, exactly. He's kind of helping you answer this one, but I'm there. Sorry, I don't think Eckler's anything special as a player. One Rock, you have your own opinions. I think he's a fan. Like, as a pass catcher out of the backfield is so deadly. And when he gets in space, so explosive. So I disagree a bit, but, he hasn't been all that special these last few weeks. I'll tell you that. He gets dinged up. Once he's dinged up, we see him really slow down. A fully healthy Eckler is scary. But because he's so small, even though he's so compact and tight, the machine does seem to break every year. Van Jefferson does have that upside. I agree, Lewis. And I do see some new names here. If you haven't already and you like what you're hearing, consider subbing. We're trying to get to that 2K. We are damn close. They were 115 away or so right now. See who you can share us out with. See who you can bring on in. Help us hit that 2K goal by the end of November. We'd love to continue to grow Wolfpack. Thank you guys again so much. Flex question, full PPR from my man, Robert Moreno. Great to see you. Sanders, AB if he plays. Can't seem to find news on him. I haven't seen much either. Damien Harris or Jeff Wilson if Mitchell doesn't play. Lots of what ifs. This is a tough one because Harris is in a great spot against Atlanta, but you have to burn that spot on him tomorrow. That means we can't see the news on Mitchell. We don't know the news on AB. Worst case, Sanders against a pass funnel defense. Do you play Harris? Do you not? I can see Ramondre eating that goal line work from now on. I'd probably not play Harris and wait this one out and see. Does AB play? Does Sanders play? Or does Mitchell sit? I would wait this one out, Moreno, most likely. Come back tomorrow. Maybe we'll have some more news on Mitchell, AB, and we can give you a better answer tomorrow. Most excited game. What game am I most excited to watch? I mean, of course, my Patriots smashing the Falcons tomorrow is going to make me real horny. I love that one. In terms of just a sheer game, I think the Chiefs and Cowboys obviously has some real, as a fantasy fan, offensive just firepower. The Seahawks and Cardinals have historically had some great battles. I'm not overly enthused because of how bad they looked last week. Do like that one. Those are probably the two biggest ones for me, the ones that I'm really looking forward to watching. I don't see anything else on the slate that's like screaming, this game is going to be great. Maybe if Chicago meets Baltimore, some big punch, could see that. But there's not a whole lot of compelling games this weekend, to be honest. Bengals, Raiders, probably like a losers go home type of matchup. That could be intriguing too, grind don't stop. Dylan or Saquon? I'm probably going to go Dylan or James Conner as you got some great fucking options. Jeez, I'm jealous of Oil. I'd probably go James Conner. Seahawks second most points allowed. You're getting about 65, 70% of the work. Great matchup. Great receiving upside. Give me Conner. Patterson doesn't play. My options are Jeff Wilson or Foreman. Uh-oh. I actually don't even hate those backup plans, Tunes. Foreman could see 15 plus carries. Wilson, if Mitchell sits, would be a lock RB2. I think you could do a whole lot worse if Patterson doesn't play. Should I pick up Hilaire and Henry off the waiver? Is it worth the spot? If you're heading to the playoffs, maybe pick up that Henry. I don't think Hilaire is going to come into anything consistent, but it depends on who your options are, Bijou. So I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure. Depends on what the options are. Any chance Jets upset the Dolphins? I mean, it could happen. Why not, right? Jets have beat the fucking Titans. Like, it could easily happen. Dolphins aren't anything special. I would consider that a huge upset. They're at home. Like, yeah, sure could. But yeah, as One Rock says, Cowboys Chiefs, definitely the game I think a lot of us are going to be most looking forward to. Jimmy Robinson didn't practice. New injury. Okay. Matt Feeney, thank you for tossing that one out there. I did not know that. Definitely some news I'll be keeping on the radar. Yeah, exactly. Titans, Bengals, like it wouldn't be that most impressive. So any given Sunday, I agree. One Rock, you're bringing some nice analysis here. I like it. Carson droppable. If you really need the IR spot, like, and you have that good of running back depth, it looks like you do. He sure could be, but it really is okay. So who are you dropping him for? There's some great options out there, Blue Crew. Okay, we can consider it. But it's so hard to drop a guy that is pretty much a lock for 12 to 20 every single time he's out there. He's still a great player, but it does, like, it also could be a guy you just burn your spot on and then he never comes back. That's also very well within the realm of possibilities. It comes down to who are you dropping him for? Why are you dropping him? You have the RB depth to do it. So who's the talent you're adding instead? Clyde will be used more down the stretch. He could be. He's the first round pick. Like, they have the capital investment, the draft capital investment in him. So yeah, absolutely could be. And again, folks, as we get to all your questions, again, I know I'm a whore, but please, that thumbs up does continue to help us grow. It's been so impactful, that getting us out to more people throughout the year, where numbers have just taken such a nice boost on YouTube in particular, because you guys have been so supportive with those thumbs up. Would mean so much to continue doing so. You know, topping 40 likes on some of these videos, awesome stuff. Someday I want to top 500 likes, 1,000 likes. We'll get there. But for right now, we got our tight, intimate crew. Continue to help that grow, Pack. Would love it. Times I've streamed, yeah, exactly, right? It's what happens. So exactly, I'm not going for the fins either. I know. I think those three, exactly. That's what always happens. Benny, what up? Vegas almost got me last week. My team somehow survived. Whew. Continue that survivor pool, baby. I love to hear it. They did. That came down the wire. Grind to start. Pitts or Arnold? Oh, man. My 10 and 11. Safety, you go with Arnold. Upside, you go with Pitts. I'm worried that Pitts is going to get completely taken out of the game, as we talked about. Thoughts on Lev Bell release? He hasn't done shit in a couple of years, so I don't think it's anything over the important to me or fantasy. Kind of sad. It needs to be a question. Yeah, exactly, right? Most would say Pitts, but exactly. We're on the same page, One Rock, with a lot of these. I'm nervous he's going to get erased, but of course, it's my advice to everybody. No matter what my advice is to you, you always die on your own sword. If somebody you love is out there, you play them. Set a game. Yeah, so I'm into that Cowboys and Chiefs game for sure. Yeah, so Murray being back, I do think that's a good game. Sarah, I didn't mean Patterson play must start. The injury does make that a little bit riskier. 4-point dud last week. He's a tough guy to ever bench, given how damn good he's been all year. I probably wouldn't bench him if he's out there. But who's your other options? Let's know. Trade Kamara for Mike Will, Cordell, and Keenan Allen. That's a pretty good haul, Matt Feeney. They do have the, I believe, second hardest playoff schedule, the Saints do, and I do think Ingram's going to eat that workload more. I don't love Mike Will. I think Cordell is a mixed bag if this injury lingers or he gets dinged up even more. Do love where Allen's trending. If you really need that wide receiver help, but I don't like a Mike Will and Keith. Oh, and you're giving up Mike Will and Kamara. No, I thought you were getting all three, and I still was kind of hesitant to it. Nah, no thanks. I'd keep Kamara. A lot of people agreeing. Mike Will is a fucking bum, but I still think you hold strong there. Find some waiver wire guys. Yeah, I wish I had Dylan too. It's going to be a beastly performance. Fins D is definitely turning around in 1917 these last couple of weeks, but One Rock, this is why I'm so shell-shocked too. I've done that twice. I've bid like 3-4 waiver wires to get whoever is facing the Jets, and it never pans out for me, so I know it. Yeah, Cardinals, Bills. I go Bills there. Just a better defense, but Cardinals is still a solid option. Panthers over the Dolphins. Yeah, I would go that defense too. Denny Jennings. Flacco, the QB for the Jets. Ooh, that could be ugly. It could be, maybe resurfaces for one big game. I don't know. Then you got Browns kicker as a top streamer. I mean, Detroit's a good matchup for him, but you can do better at kicker, in my opinion. Cowboys, yeah, that's very true. They do like to go for it. McLaughlin's too low. You really do like this guy, McLaughlin guy, huh? I like that you guys are digging into my kicker rankings as high as you are. You're giving it more thought than I even do. Yeah, maybe I am a little too low on the guy. 1 point last week, though. 2-7-4. No, thanks. I'm okay. I get the Detroit matchup, but I'm okay. Missed the running backs. How does Flacco starting? Well, he's not going to target the running backs 40% of the time, but he does have about a 30% target running back target rate through his career, so I don't think it's going to be a huge drop-off either. I am worried, but the matchup is fine. Flacco's fine. It's just not Mike White peppering. Mike White has been a gold mine for Carter. Hunter Henry or TJ Hawk, says my man Giuseppe. I'm going Hunter Henry, baby. Touchdown every week. Now gets Atlanta. Love it. Foreman or Elijah Moore. Give me the upside of Elijah Moore getting the 5th most points among wide receivers across these last 3 weeks. I'm riding it. Eckler for Jefferson and Kittle, a fair trade? Yeah. If you need the tight end and receiver, this is one that just comes down to team need because they're all pretty even. It's just like, what do your team need more? But I don't hate that trade at all, Jason. I think you can definitely take that if you have good running back depth to absorb it. Hunter or Jacoby Myers. I'm going Hunter Renfrow, baby. 14 points in back-to-back games, high floor. I like it. Need the win, have the most points. I'm in. 3 facing the first. Yeah, let's get that dub, baby. Absolutely, Giuseppe. You were killing it as you always do. You always kill it every year. Fuck yeah. Yep. We get some people answering each other's question. Michael Carter is fool's gold. Wilson back next week. Yeah, I'm with you. I think Michael Carter is a definite sell here at the trade deadline. Giuseppe Russo, 1 running back, 1 flex. Eli Mitchell, Antonio Gibson, A.J. Dillon, Daryl Williams, Jeff Wilson, or Miles Sanders. So this is one where it's just, we have to wait and see. I think you lock in A.J. Dillon as your running back. The flex, it all depends. Sunday, we'll have some more time. Is Miles Sanders active? Eli Mitchell playing or out? If Eli's playing, I lean Dillon and Mitchell. If Eli's out, maybe Dillon and Wilson or Gibson kind of enters that conversation. If CEH is out, Daryl Williams enters the conversation. We have a lot to figure out here, Giuseppe. So you're locking in Dillon no matter what. But other than that, we have some things to figure out first. Drop Hunter Henry? No, you cannot drop Hunter Henry. No way. I'd almost rather drop Hawkinson, to be honest. I do like keeping Jeff Wilson too, but I think he might be the one you send back in here. Like and share, folks. I love it, Giuseppe. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Please do. That likes, those shares, all help us out so much. Carol said Carson not practicing hasn't progressed as they would hope. Oh, that's not good, Mike Clay. Maybe he is droppable if you have somebody you really want to stash. Ravens backfield is gross. 100% agree. You think Damien Harris plays tomorrow night? He does. Yeah, he's been cleared, and I think they've already said he's going to be cleared and will play. So we'll be in there. Definitely becomes more of a nightmare, but I think both those backs, Ramondre and him, could have big days. Pittman versus Buffalo or Bateman? 909. All the logic says you should just go Pittman, who's been killing it all year. That is the toughest possible matchup for him. I'd go Pittman, I would, but it is definitely closer than it should be. Would you trust Devonta Smith? I do. They give up so much points to receivers. They move him around so much that, yeah, you can trust him, in my opinion. Load up on backs from waivers by dropping defense and kicker. Scoop Foreman, Sanders, Jeff Wilson. I like the move. I love always dropping kicker and defense to see what happens, for sure, to play out the week. Midnight 201, great question. Not sure about that. Seems like the Saints. Yeah, I'll let you guys kind of keep answering each other's questions, and I'll move on to the ones. Going back to the original trade question, other receivers are DK, Mike Williams. I don't remember the original trade question. Troy, in case you haven't noticed, I've answered about 70 questions since the original trade question. Don't know what you asked. Sorry, brother. Have D-Will, Alex Carson, and A. Jones, so I'd have to drop 2 come Sunday. I mean, I think that might just be – who's D-Will? Daryl Williams? Oh, yeah. You can't drop A. Jones. He's got such a good playoff schedule, and he should be back in 1 to 2. Might just be both Seattle guys. Daryl, maybe. I'd want to see what he does with CEH back, though. Damien Harris is out. A.J. Dillon or Ramondre. Harris is going to play. If he wasn't, I would just say Ramondre, but Harris is going to play is the word, so I would go A.J. Dillon. Initial thoughts, I want to get rid of Foreman, then decide between Wilson and Sanders. Yeah, I think that's kind of solid. I think that's a good play. Like Foreman, a lot of people count him as the league winner of the year, but it's not to Foreman. Like he's had his chances. He's coming off bad injuries. I don't know. Chiefs Cowboys definitely that best matchup for sure. Bateman or Pittman, half PPR. We already answered that one. I'm going Pittman. Collins, Foreman, or Stevenson. I'm going Stevenson. Touchdown monster, even with Harris back. Who's in the flex? Carter, Bourne, Breida, no. Fryermuth, Freeman, Kenyon Drake for Juan Pena. Probably say Carter here. I still like him even without Mike White, certainly above those other options. CMH may be held out. Yeah, that's one thing to definitely track is that buy. Who to pick up on waivers? Bateman, Jeff Wilson, Jamal Williams. Bateman, 100%. Love that player. If Eli Mitchell does not play or if he's scheduled to miss like an extended period of time, Jeff Wilson would be probably an even better option. But Bateman, I mean, is an absolute monster. Any chance Pitts destroys New England? I don't think so. He's athletic enough to maybe do it, but lesser teams have taken him out of games. I'm in there. Sorry, I was in Vegas. The beers in my hockey tourney cost me not taking. Oh, still. There we go. Now we got some more context here. I was wondering what you meant because Vegas lost. I was like, Survivor pool. What does he mean here? That makes sense. Love it, Ben Tomsick. I'm glad you still pulled off the win even with Kyler. We got a super chat. Love to see it. Thank you so much, Matt Feeney, with the prayer hands. Doesn't even ask a question with a super chat. You're a legend. Thank you so much for supporting us, Matt Feeney. I don't think it's the first super chat you've tossed us. It's so appreciated. And if you want to continue to toss us super chats, a great way the best way to support us is that. But a free way is that thumbs up button. If you haven't already hit that, please consider doing so. Knox or Schultz? I'm going Knox all day. I'm not into Schultz at all. Neither are guaranteed targets, so give me the one that's much better at touchdown upside. Oh, so impressed, Juan Pena. I was at that game, and it was just – that was Mac Jones. Is like he's always been playing really well all year, especially these last few weeks. That was the coming out party. The guy couldn't miss against a pretty decent Cleveland D. They got Super Bowl chances, Juan Pena. Renfro or Bateman? I'm going Renfro as the safer option this week. I do love me some Bateman, as the show knows, but I'm going Renfro, much safer. Update on Ridley? I think you can drop him if there's no IR spot. There's no update. I haven't heard anything. There's nothing whether he's going to come back or not. My guess, he doesn't play this year. Keep Madison for sure, especially if you have Dalvin Cook, just given how weird that situation is. You got some good options here, but really tough to send him out. I think Jeff Wilson, if you see that Eli Mitchell is out this week, bam, pull that trigger. Otherwise, don't. Passion plays. Waddle, Singletary, Freeman. Yeah, I'd go above all of them. Waddle does get a little bit tough, but I would go Patterson over those guys. Drop Goddard, Hunter Henry, or Knox. Goddard for me. Knox or Goddard. Hunter Henry is the one I'm keeping. But yes, I think you definitely drop one of them. I'd probably say Goddard. And then, drop one of them for Bateman. No. Tell me about Jeff Wilson. Doesn't know much about him. Grind don't stop. Led the 49ers in rushing last year. Rushing yards, rushing touchdowns with 10. 10th in the NFL in rushing touchdowns last year. Despite only playing, I think it was 12 games. Won fantasy championships. That's why I'm probably so high on him is he won me a title last year. He's one of those like obscure guys that becomes a hero. And I just think that it could repeat itself. Such an easy playoff schedule for that team. Such a great zone scheme. We've seen him have multiple 30-point days in a season. That's all I need to know to give him some upside, especially if Eli Mitchell sits very big. As one rock saying, well, Rock, I feel like you're new here, but you're a legend. Great comments, great questions the whole time, answering people's stuff. I don't know if you're new and I don't remember you. I feel like I'd remember you. I hope you subbed and turned the bell on because I'd love to have you here for more shows. And that goes out to everybody here, asking questions, interacting with the pack. If you haven't already, keep growing us. Let's get us up to 2K by the end of this month. Kelsey replacement next week. Schultz, Raiders, Conklin, San Fran, Henry, Tennessee. Henry. Got to go Hunter Henry. Loving him. Can you see Bateman scoring double-digit points rest of the season? Yeah, I mean at 11 last week. That role should continue only to grow with Sammy Watkins fumbling, looking like shit. I just don't know that I trust Greg Roman to put him in a position to always exceed. All right, guys, I'm going to go rapid fire here to wrap up the show. Right at 8:10, I want to be out by 8:15. So here we go. Full PPR. Drop Gronk to pick up Arnold. Man, depends if you really need the starting in Arnold, but Gronk, even though he's hurt, has more upside than anybody at the tight end position. So depends on what you need. Kate Smith, need to make room for Foreman. Get rid of one. Get rid of any kicker. Who gives a shit? You can't have 2 kickers or 2 defenses. Cut one of each and pick up some space. Get some upside. Either one. Doesn't matter to me. Get rid of one of them. Thinking of Cam over Carr, I would do that myself. Yep. I have him higher. So, yeah, I'm with you, Midnight 201. Got to start all running backs 100%. They are that bad. Trying to trade for D-Hop. What do you think of package of A.J. Dillon and Miles Sanders? Dude needs running backs. Yeah, I can see that. But are you sprinting to get D-Hop? Is he healthy? What's happening there? I think both running backs and a receiver would be too much. Certainly Renfro as well. But if you can do like one of the running backs and one of those receivers, all day. Knox, does Schultz become droppable? Yes. I'm worried about his value with Gallup now there. Flacco elite. So elite, yes. Can I trust Pitts to score at least 13 fantasy points? No, I would not trust him to do that. I'm new. Love your content. First time been in a live show. Gano on bot. Yeah, just drop Gano. Anyways, no need to hold him. I'm so happy, though. Glad you're here. Glad you've first timer. Hope to see you more often, One Rock, because you brought a lot of awesome comments, a lot of answers to people. Thank you for that. Great member of the pack. I hope you consider subscribing and turning that bell on so you can join us. As always, Monday through Thursday, live, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Sunday, 11 a.m. You guys can hit us at all those shows. I will answer all live questions, as you guys just saw here, getting through every mailbag that we get. Thanks again, Fat Feeney, Super Chat. So appreciated. You can find all our content, Roto Street Journal. Those of you that are new, we also have a website, rotostreetjournal.com. We breed and feed fancy. Well, it's a great website and a great iOS app. My rankings are there. Awesome writers, one of the best staffs in the game, some of the smartest hard-hitting analysis. We don't put a ton of stuff out there because we just want to make sure everything we put out there is top-notch. So check it out. Our stock watch, so many useful articles, and the trade value chart's amazing. My rest of season big board, all of that's there. rotostreetjournal.com. We breed and feed you fantasy wolves and that world full of fantasy sheep, guys. Be the wolf. Indeed, good luck to all of you. Hope to see more of you guys tomorrow, Monday, or rather Thursday, 7 p.m. kickoff. My boy, The Truth. One Rock, you're new to the show. You got to come to them tomorrow when we have The Truth on live with me. It is a great atmosphere. We're putting the beers back. We're having a blast. Be on there tomorrow, guys. Can't wait to see you. And Wolf full of fantasy sheep. Be the wolf. Later, guys.